Senator John Fetterman makes a blockbuster announcement, and this changes everything. But before we get into the video, I just want to ask you guys, do you think that Senator John Fetterman, represents what Democrats used to be, the normal part of Democrats, what they used to be? Do you think that he should just switch over to being a Republican? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. A lot of people are saying that they think that John Fetterman should just switch over to being a Republican already, okay, since he's the only Dem that they like at this point. I mean, most Democrats are like on some super woke stuff these days. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Shout out to the King Squad. Let's get right into this video. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. Let's go.
Oh, for me, it's very clear. It's just part of like this weird smear, this thing. And the more kinds of left kind of media continues to have these kinds of an attack, and it's just part of a smear, and that's just not it's just not accurate. I've always been there. And for me, if I miss some of those votes, I've made 90% of them. And we all know those votes that I've missed were on Monday. Those are travel days. And I have 3 young kids, and those are throwaway procedural votes that they were never determined if they were important. That's a choice that I made. And, you know, of course, he did defend me through that. And he actually asked me, it's like, is it okay to defend you? I don't want that to create more political problems.
Thought it might hurt him.
Yeah, he did. And I'm like, no, I appreciate that. He and people recognize the smear in this process of this.
Look, Jeremy, there is zero doubt in my mind that this is a smear campaign against John Fetterman. And I think that's evidenced by the New York Magazine article. All of the criticisms of Fetterman are laced with criticisms of his views on Israel. Here are 3 examples from New York Mag. They talk about his megalomania, evidenced by the fact that he thinks he's the most knowledgeable source on Gaza. Okay, that's the evidence. Then they say his endless fights over Israel coincided with setbacks in his recovery. Okay. And then they say Gaza lured him back on X. So it seems like all of these criticisms are laced with criticisms of his views.
That's exactly right. I mean, they're not even trying to hide the ball here. They're being very clear. The only issue they have with Senator Fetterman is the fact that he's pro-Israel. That is the number one problem they have with him. And if he were just got along on the bandwagon of all this kind of pro-Hamas type of propaganda, then they probably would leave him alone. After all, this was the party that looked the other way when we had a diminished commander-in-chief in the Oval Office for 4 years under President Biden. This is the party that looked the other way with all the octogenarians and sometimes in their 90s, people still serving on the Democrat side in the House and the Senate. So they don't care really about in terms of capacity or ability to lead. What they care about is, are you going to toe the party line? And it's amazing to me that just the hubris of the left. Certainly it can't be that maybe some people disagree with what you believe. No, if you disagree with us, then there must be something wrong with your brain. I mean, that's what they think, is that, certainly there must be something wrong with his cognitive functions, because certainly no Democrat senator could disagree with the party line.
And, in 2022, Lydia, these publications, they said it was ableist to ask questions about the health and, all the criticisms we've seen. Well, all of a sudden they take this interest in Fetterman's health starting on May 2nd. You can see in our wall here, look at all these highlights. May 2nd, New York Times, New York Magazine, Politico, they all start asking questions coinciding with John Fetterman's tiptoeing towards moderation.
And so interesting about how that has turned, right? Because after his initial health scare, there was really a rally of support, among the Democratic Party to see him recover and hold this office. But now that it's not convenient for them, they're going to use that against him. It's very clear to me that they're trying to weaponize this issue against him, not just because of his support for Israel, but I think it's his attempt to be bipartisan. The fact that he met with President Trump earlier on, very soon after Trump won the election, the fact that he's having this debate with Senator McCormick there in his home state of Pennsylvania, the fact that he's also friendly to fracking, which is a very smart position for this man to have, given that he's from the state of Pennsylvania, an energy capital of the country. So for all these reasons that he's going against the party is the very same reason that they're trying to get him out, it seems.
Without question. And I love when the New York Times says the quiet part out loud, because they often don't do that. They conceal it. His volatile and concerning behavior, which aides noted, only increased since the election. That has coincided with a period when his politics have become more conservative. So they said it, Lisa.
Right. And that's the issue. And in addition to some of the things, he was the only Democrat to support Pam Bondi, to vote for her for a nomination for Attorney General.
Bingo.
First Democrat to meet with President Trump post 2024. He co-sponsored the Lake and Riley Act. But I agree his biggest sin is his support for Israel. That's why the left has turned on him. as it's been pointed out, they clearly have no problem with mental decline. They covered up Joe Biden. They thought he was going to have to be in a wheelchair, and they were okay with covering that up. Also, by the way, 8 members of Congress have died since November 2022. All Democrats, by the way. So they're completely fine with that as well. But what they're not fine with is if you don't, completely go along with the Democrat Party and March step and you defy them and you support Israel.
Emily.
I'm going to play devil's advocate just for a second because I thought the same way, 100%. And then I read that email, the alleged email from the prior chief of staff to the medical director that was in charge of Fetterman's care. And it gave me pause because it wasn't meant for publication. And it detailed a very concerning and very detailed description of behavior. And, when you go through, as I'm sure so many people watching have and here on the couch, when you go through someone that is dealing with a long-term disease or illness, there's a lot that goes on. And when it affects them mentally, there's a lot that goes on. And so I had sympathy and I had empathy in that moment for what I was reading, knowing what it feels like to be really confused by someone's behavior and have alarming questions and all the things. And because of the cover-up that the Dems just participated in, I have a higher sensitivity to make sure that everything is highlighted and identified. So I'll just close by saying that I really hope that this scrutiny is applied to everyone, because I venture and posit that there are plenty of people that we are paying that don't represent their constituents whatsoever and don't show up and have horrible, vile habits that impede their ability to be acute in their decision making and the like. So I'm not trying to focus on Fetterman, but just to say that if there is even an iota of truth of the concerns for his health and mental acuity at this moment, then perhaps it should be dealt with off camera and out of the
But Emily,
and a lot of points were made that really brought a lot of things to my mind, and one of those thoughts being, do you guys think that this is a pattern you see amongst the Dems? I mean, looking back at just Trump before Trump became before he ran and became president for his second term, you see that you see who else was it? It was Tulsi Gabbard. You saw Tulsi Gabbard switch sides. Now you're seeing John Fetterman. They're trying to kick John Fetterman out the party because he's thinking more and he's leaning more conservative all of a sudden, according to the Dems. And who else did we see? You saw RFK. RFK switched from Democrat to Republican, and I believe there were a few more. But one of the things I really want to point out is you see this consistent pattern of, if you use your brain, you automatically align with the conservatives all of a sudden, according to the Dems. And the Dems, they're like, if you don't fall in line with our agendas, okay, then you're not with us. Then you're certainly against us. And that's really how it seems like they're treating John Fetterman. Okay, it took me a minute to get my points out, but that's really how it strikes me. It strikes me as they're trying to kick him out because he can't be controlled. He can't be intimidated. He thinks for himself. He has a mind of his own. He has his own thoughts, his own opinions. When you have your own thoughts and opinions and you're with the left, that's a problem. Okay, they're the party of anti-common sense. They are the party of having a hive mind. Okay, so using your brain is not allowed. That's illegal amongst the Dems, okay, the Dumbs, the Democrats, the Dumbocrats, all right? So shout out to John Fetterman for thinking for himself and having his own thoughts and opinions and everything like that. What do you guys think? Do you think he should just switch over to the Republicans ultimately? Do you think that he really does represent what the Dems used to be, okay, what it is to be a normal Democrat, okay, not one of these woke libtards? What do you guys think about this? Let me know down below in the comments. Shout out to the King Squad. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. It's great to see you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.